Hello, and welcome to the very first Writer's Corner at Get Writing. In this slot, I invite up and coming as well as established writers to talk about themselves, their work, and their writing process. I'm Dr. Stavros Salvatsis, and today I have Gaelan Wort with me, a young writer who penned his first novel at the ripe old age of 18. I believe you completed it at 18, The Nature of Predation, and that's the book here, and it is not a thin volume. Okay, which is a good thing. Hello, Gaelan. Yes, so you started writing it, I believe, at 17 and completed it at 18. Is that right, or something to that
Yeah,
effect?
somewhere around there in my maths classes, working on my narrative fiction.
Okay,
Time well
okay,
spent. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So perhaps we can start by your telling us a little bit about yourself and how you got interested in writing.
Yeah, certainly. So I suppose first and foremost, I am a screenwriting major, now going on to do my honors at Open Window.
Mm-hmm.
On the side, I do kickboxing. I'm a composer, a long-time fencer, but my first love has always been, and surely always will be, storytelling. I suppose that's why I'm here. And as for what got me into writing, there's always been a draw. I suppose reading would be the first and foremost reason. That's usually how it goes. Then my authorial pursuits started up in grade school. I had something of a natural affinity, I think. Won some Rotary Awards, regional creative writing competitions, and sort of fostered the habit early on. And since then, I'd many times endeavored to put together a completed novel. And, in those early years, my maturity sort of grew faster than I could put pen to paper. So all of those ideas fell at the wayside and were scrapped until eventually I settled on The Nature of Predation.
Yes. Well, tell us something about your books.
So, yeah, as you said, I began my first novel that would actually see publication when I was 17. And The Nature of Predation is a speculative fiction dystopian story with something of a multi-strand narrative structure, to coin a phrase from your own work.
But it seems to me that you're sort of cutting a line between science fiction and fantasy in your book. Is that something that you intended, or is it something that just arose?
Um, yeah, in regards to the nature of predation, that's a stylistic leaning. I sort of have the natural inclination towards the mythic archetypes within stories. I'm a fan. My third novel that I've just finished recently and have been trying to publish for a while now is a retelling of the Norse legend of the Volsunga saga. So I am inclined towards the traditional Campbellian monomyth of the hero's journey, and I
Mm.
like having that flavor of a mythic construct in every narrative, even if the
Yeah.
nature of predation doesn't directly have any input from gods or deities. But
Yes. Yes, yes. I mean, and even sort of pure science fiction films like Star Wars do follow that sort of traditional archetypal hero on a journey sort of
yeah, of course.
narrative direction. Um, but yes, I suppose what I'm saying is also you have a distinctive voice and sort of a narrative style that sort of emerges, uh, and one could sort of argue that you can be identified in both your novels as having that sort of same sort of narrative voice, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah,
It's a
thank you.
style
I'd
that
hope so. That's
yeah,
what
yeah.
I always endeavor towards.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your writing process. So, a couple of weeks back, I did a YouTube video on Panzer Plotter or In-Betweener, looking at the writing process that should encompass almost all of us if you look across the three categories. Where would you place yourself?
Um, I think I vary between these archetypes depending on the work. With the nature of predation, for instance, I was definitely a plotter because of the diverging and intertwining narrative structure. The multiple plot threads had to sync up and then diverge on schedule, so to
Mm.
speak. So I had to really set those beats out almost in a giant spreadsheet and with multiple timelines. And then in Briar's Kiss, which is a more sort of poetical story and focuses on a central protagonist,
Mm.
I then shifted lanes and became more of a pantser because it had more authenticity following this single character, could inhabit that vessel to a greater extent.
What I found in my own writing is that some of the best magic, if you can call it that, happens when, spontaneity is allowed to well up, and when I'm surprised by the characters. If I know everything about them, then for me, at any rate, they tend to be a little bit stilted. And yes, so I like mixing both. You want to have an overview, but
Yes, yeah,
you
you have
also.
to have a clear understanding of where you're heading, so that you don't waffle and ramble and inevitably, come to a brick wall with plot holes, etc. But you do need to allow the characters to lead you. As you said, that magic happens via spontaneity. As you're led through the narrative, you have that authentic response as you're experiencing it yourself. So,
I suppose the next question is maybe allied to sort of what we've been saying. But do you have, I mean, your source of inspiration?
so yeah, I don't have a shortage of general inspiration. I think I've got too many story ideas to ever actually complete in my lifetime. I mean, a good problem to have, but a very different situation. Um, I think I've amassed a manuscript in and of itself, just listing like the brief story ideas, character ideas, and pictures that I've sort of compiled. And I think that's also the healthy habit. When inspiration does strike, take it down, take note, and permit yourself to ruminate thereon after the fact. Um, and when it comes to writer's block, I think I'm not sure if it's really a writing secret, but it's a good psychological trick, I suppose. I have playlists of music compiled relating to each project. And for one, they help, communicate the tone and center me in that world, but it also acts as a habitual cue. So when you set yourself down in this scenario, you're, habitualized to respond with creating the necessary output. And if I'm really am stuck for some reason, I can't get into the moments and I can't figure out how to continue the story, I think the easiest and most straightforward means to circumvent that problem is to just read through the
Mm,
chapter or so before and then just let that story follow on. And if the one chapter before doesn't work, go back two. And then I think you get reminded of everything you were feeling, everything that you had planned
mm,
when you did not have writer's block, and then that can follow through and
mm.
break the threshold that has been holding you back.
Yes, I get the impression you don't really suffer from that, and you're just raring to go most of the time. It's just a matter of, sort of finding if you skipped lanes, getting back on that lane rather than, lack of inspiration. Oh gosh,
Yeah,
I don't feel like writing today, or it's not that sort of thing.
yeah. Fortunately, I've never had any great setbacks in that department in my career yet.
Yeah. So future plans, I mean, keep writing.
Of course, yeah. As I said, my first and foremost love, and I have a bit of a backlog in that department. As I say, I've completed my third novel, and it's been due publication for a time now. And then I'm busy wrapping up the next one thereafter as well. So that's the priority now.
It's
And
like you need a shunting train to in the shunting
yes,
yard to sort of
something like
line
it,
them up.
yeah, a bit of
Yeah.
a conveyor belt process. And then I've also started on my own little multimedia production studio. I'm collaborating with a few of my peers, and I'm writing for some comic books, which is a sort of changing of lanes, but it's very exciting. And then the big project that we're working on is the creation of a video game. So all with a narrative focus that I'm sort of leading the efforts for. But
Sorry, if I might ask, would the character in the video game be originating from any of your books, or is that a new sort of narrative that you?
it is a new central character, but I do have some recurring characters. It's the game, The Gravedigger of Scarlet Town, is centered in the same universe as Briar's Kiss,
Mm,
and it has some common plot elements and themes, a similar gothic and Lovecraftian horror acting within the world. So there are tie-ins, but it's not a direct continuation
okay.
in any fashion.
Okay. Well, it looks like you've got your hands full with all of this stuff
Yes,
and you're
always.
bubbling. Yeah, yeah, but that's a good thing. And the enthusiasm sort of shines through. Um, all right, Galen. Well, thanks very much for your time. We'll keep in touch. And as your projects mature, we'll create another slot and you'll come in and talk to us and maybe, yeah, just shed light on your new projects. So thanks very much. And we'll chat soon again.
Great. Thank you very much, Dr. Stavros. Looking forward to it.